You also gave us a directive to prosecute the people who are going after Tesla to the fullest extent of the law, some of the greatest police work I've seen. We've made 4 arrests. There will be no negotiations at your directive. They're all looking at 20 years in prison, and within the next 24 hours, you're going to be seeing another huge arrest on a Tesla dealership, President. And that person will be looking at least 20 years in prison with no negotiations.
Whoa, that was U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi announcing more arrests are coming. This is involving the literally hundreds of domestic terror attacks on Teslas nationwide. Joining us now from House Oversight, we're excited to talk to Congresswoman Nancy Mace about this. Congresswoman, it's always a pleasure. It's wonderful to see you again. What do you make of this? We know 4 domestic terrorists have already been arrested. These charges carry 20 or more years. What do we know about what's going on?
Well, including one from the great state of South Carolina, the guy that threw Molotov cocktails at a Tesla charging station in Charleston, South Carolina, set himself on fire. That's what we call a smooth brain domestic terrorist. They all should face the full force of the law. In fact, I'm saying to take these Tesla terrorists, send them to Gitmo, get them out of here. They're un-American. This is terrorism. Send them to a place like Gitmo. Be done with them.
You know, Congresswoman, there was something else that happened that AG Bondi is talking about, too. This is about the infrastructure of activist groups funding these groups that do these attacks. She said, quote, "We will continue investigations, including into those behind the scenes, funding and coordinating these crimes." Who are we talking about here?
Well, number one, I want to say Pam Bondi is tough as nails. Number two, my understanding is that George Soros and those aligned with him are funding these activists, these terrorist activists all around the country to the tune of $4,000 a month or more. They have hours, they track their hours, they clock their hours, they have special messages they put out. They go and they protest, and they're paid to do it. And so we got to get to the bottom of it. I do believe that Pam Bondi, I believe in her investigation. I believe she'll get to the bottom of where the money is coming from. But these people have to be put in jail. It's not enough to say, hey, this is bad. They've been arrested. They've got to go to prison. People have to be fired from their jobs. They've got to go to jail. They got to pay the time for the crime they've done to.
You know what's interesting? It just occurred to us here. You know how Rudy Giuliani in the 80s used the RICO law, racketeering laws, to go after and break up the mafia, break up the mob? Could they file racketeering RICO charges against these, nonprofit and activist groups funding these domestic terror attacks? Could that be a possibility?
I'm not an attorney, but if there is case precedent, if there is legal precedent, then that wave has already been, that path has already been paved, and the prosecution would have the ability to do that. Now they have the will. If there's a way, absolutely.
You know, when you see these attacks, right? I mean, we came out of the pandemic, shutdowns were terrible, 22 million thrown out of work. Then Americans suffered through the social justice riots where 40 people were killed in those riots. Now you see these Tesla attacks. This is the far left's answer to what is going on in America. It's not about fixing America. It's always about rioting and attacking. And, this is all this happening when there's Democrat silence again, silence and all that. As Elon Musk and Doge is cutting, they say, $150 billion in waste. They're trying to save and rescue entitlement programs like Social Security. They just caught a massive $382 million fraud of people taking jobless benefits when many of them were not even born yet.
Right. It's insane to me. And the Democrat silence is absolute compliance, is absolutely an endorsement of the violence happening against Elon Musk, against Donald Trump, a man who literally took a bullet for our country, against conservatives all across the country. People are afraid to talk about where they live because they're worried about being swatted. And I will tell you, I'm going through a thing right now where people are threatening, us over town halls. I've had multiple bomb threats on my own office just because I'm a conservative Republican. But Donald Trump will put an end to this, and it ends now.
That's an absolute disgrace, what you just said. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, please stay safe. We appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much.